Hello YouTube, and welcome to my YouTube channel. For those who do not know me, my name is Alicia, and yeah, I've started a YouTube channel. Am I nervous about it? Yes, because I don't like being on camera, and I don't like a lot of people knowing my business, but given the circumstances I'm in right now, I'm like, fuck it. If it crashes and burns, it crashes and burns, but at least I can say that I tried. But I wanted to get on here with this first video to explain why I made this channel, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and what I expect from this channel as far as like what I want to do, as far as structure and everything like that. I want to bring to my audience. So I guess here goes nothing. I started this channel at first because I felt like I wasn't being heard in my inner circles. Not that people weren't talking to me and trying to help me, but I really didn't feel like a lot of people understood where I was coming from as far as my goals, my dreams, and my aspirations. And I let that kind of fester for years and years and years. And not in a very healthy way. So I decided, well, I'll just make these diary vlogs on my computer and hope to God that nobody opens my laptop and ever finds out what I'm feeling, because I've always felt like I've had to put on a brave face. And so in doing so, it never got anywhere because nobody could hear me, if that made sense. I talked everything out, but nobody could relate. Nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew what my thought processes were. Nobody knew what was going on with me or any hopes and dreams that I had. It was all just logged in on this computer. So then I tried talking to people. I tried going to therapy, and the more I talked, the more misunderstood I felt. So I just stopped talking. I kept everything light because that's what I'm used to. I'm used to putting on a brave face even though I'm scared to death like I'm doing now. I'm used to doing what everybody tells me to do, not for the sake of them, but because if they were ever mad at me, I feel like it's all my fault. And that's a lot of childhood trauma, really. So that I think that's why I've never stayed at a job for over like a year, because I never felt happy at the jobs I worked, because I just felt like I was somebody's pawn. Like basically I was like the yes man. Like I'll work really hard, I'll do whatever you ask me to do, but I'm not going to be happy. But as long as you're happy, I'm happy. And that's kind of what I did with my hopes and dreams. I shut them down because if people weren't happy or if people didn't agree, I shut up about it and didn't say anything else about it. And one of my biggest hopes and dreams is to open my store, Knowledge Before Knacks, which is basically a tarot reading store and also a gift shop full of all sorts of things I want to put into it. But I never really told anybody because where are you going to get the funding, and who's going to want to buy that type of stuff? And that goes against the family religion because we're Christian and we're not pagan. And I'm like, I'm not pagan, I'm spiritual, but whatever. And so I kept it in the closet, no pun intended, for a long time. And if I did tell people, I felt ashamed of it because a lot of people would approach me with, where are you going to get the funding? And, you're a minority and plus you're a woman. And I'm like, I thought we've gotten over that, and I just needed an outlet. And so I was like, well, I'll just make this YouTube video. I don't think anybody's going to watch it anyway. So, I mean, if at least it's out there, so you can't say I didn't say anything. So that's the first reason why I made this, because I just wanted somebody to hear what I was saying and maybe somebody to talk to, because therapy hasn't helped me at all. And maybe it's just I've had a very bad string of therapists, and maybe that's how therapy works, but I've had so many terrible therapists. They didn't listen to what I was saying. They just heard what I was saying. They're like, oh yeah, we've had this basket case before. It's just, insecurity, anxiety. Just go and take a bath and journal and you'll be okay. Or the other hand, you're crazy. You probably need to go and be on pills or something and, you'll be happy. Or you're perfectly fine because you're aware of what's wrong with you. So I don't even know why you're here. And I'm like, that doesn't help me at all. So I stopped going to therapy. But then I lost my outlet of somebody to talk to, because if they weren't listening, at least I got shit off my chest, So then I reached back out to family. And I love my family. I really do. But the hardest thing for me with reaching out to my family was the fact that we're all going our separate ways. And that's really hard for me to, excuse me, I'm sorry. It's hard for me because I've lost so much already, and I feel like I've already let them down given the current situation I'm in. And I feel like going for my dreams has done nothing for me but cause agony, loss, and pulled me away from my family. So in doing this, especially because we have different religious views, I feel like I may lose them forever. And that's the risk I'm taking making this YouTube video and going after my dreams. And I know some people can relate, which is why I'm hoping when I post this video, somebody can at least like the video or even comment saying, yeah, I relate, because I feel alone. And I have people around me. It's the weirdest thing. I feel alone and I have people around me and I never understood it. And so I'm like, I'm just lost. And then I got into spirituality 3 years ago because I was so lost and because I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with the loneliness. I couldn't deal with the secret disappointment. I couldn't deal with I couldn't deal with living with this secret that I wasn't happy. That I wasn't happy with anything I was doing and I wanted to change it. So I secretly started practicing tarot and working with crystals. And that all got started by watching YouTube, actually. I just looked up, how can I stop being lonely? And I went to all of these like psychological YouTube videos and all this self-help stuff and all this and no shade to anybody who's doing their own thing and who are licensed to do these things and helping people out, because the stuff is helpful, but at the time it was just junk to me. It was like I was craving nutrients, like I was craving fruits and vegetables, and all I was getting was like candy and sugar and things that weren't good for me when I was really craving vegetables. And I was just lost. I'm like, I don't want to know how I can be the baddest bitch in 2021, 2022, 2023. I don't want to know about the latest celebrity diet. I don't want to know anything else about my past, because the more I uncover about my past, the more it depresses me. I'm sick of looking back there. I just need to know what's wrong with me. I need to just block out the noise. I just need to be pointed in a direction that is completely straight. Like, don't send me down this winding curve over here. Don't put me in this little realm over here. Just let me walk a straight path. And I found this lady on YouTube, and she was talking about how, in the midst of her being lost, she had to quiet herself and really ask herself, was she willing to live her life, you know, the same, or did she want to make a change? And I was like, okay, what does this have to do with me? And that's when she started talking about how tarot saved her life. And I was like, I can't do tarot. That's against my religion to do. And she's like, it's the easiest thing in the world. And contrary to popular belief, tarot in its own self is not as bad as you think it is. Because basically, tarot is just a tool. Just like anything else is a tool. Like, I have a computer, it has its uses, but YouTube is a tool for me to have an outlet. You know, it's not the devil, it's not evil for people who think technology is evil, it's not anything bad. It's a good thing if you use it correctly, and that's what she explained tarot was for me. And I didn't understand it quite then, because I'm like, okay, but what does that have to do with me walking a straight path? You're talking about how tarot is good for me. You're talking about how, you know, tarot saved your life and it made you choose the straight path, but what does this have to do with me? So I got even more frustrated. And I was like, I'll just go back to doing what I usually do and just keeping myself quiet, because the more I ask questions, the more I get confused and I don't get answers. It took me a couple of days to realize what she meant, because she talked about a whole bunch of other things, but she really like caught my attention when she was talking about how, you know, basically making that choice if you want to change your life or do you want to just have it stay the same. And so I'm like, well, what does tarot have to do with that? Like, why did your perception of tarot change your life as far as your direction goes? And basically what she was saying and the way she was saying it was being open-minded and look beneath the surface of things that you're interested in, because a lot of the times that'll point you in the right direction. And so I was like, okay, so it must be the tarot cards. And if it's the tarot cards, then I'll just stick with that. And because that's the only solid thing, that's the only tangible thing I had at the moment. Because playing with the cards kept my thoughts like from scattering all the time and having me focus on them. Basically, when I would shuffle the cards or like lay out the cards, and I didn't even know what I was doing, I was just following whatever was on YouTube, it kind of made me like focus on the present, like what was going on at the moment. And then like it turned from just playing with the cards to actually asking questions, and it was from asking questions to finding interpretation in the cards, and then after finding interpretation in the cards, like trying to decipher what that interpretation was for me and how I can apply it to my life. And that happened in secret for a while. And then I moved away from home, which was another big thing I was scared to do because I had no plan. I had no plan. I had no money. I had little to no friends out here where I moved to, and I had nothing. I mean, I literally hopped on a Greyhound bus and left, and only had $53 to my name after I took that bus trip, and the hope of this dude hiring me when I got to the job I applied for, and even then, that was almost a 2-day walk to get to where I was going because I got lost. So the only thing that kind of kept me sane even then was a stack of tarot cards I got from home because that was the only thing I could bring besides the 2 satchels I had on my back at the time. It was the only thing that kept me sane until I kept doubting myself. And I'm like, why are you here? I mean, this is crazy. This is dumb. Why are you out here? You have no plan. You have no car. You have no house. You don't even know if you have a job out here. You have nobody to contact, really. And the person you can contact, we're not even going to go there for right now, but like the person you can contact is not in a position to help you. So why in the world are you out here? But I'm like, I don't know. I just felt like I needed a change. I just needed to escape from where I was at to make a change somewhere else because where I was at wasn't working. I wasn't happy. I wasn't doing things I set out to do. I wasn't solid in anything. The only thing I was solid in is that these cards speak to me. These cards make me feel safe. These cards make me feel like I'm in control of something. So as long as I follow the cards, I'm good. About 1.5 years passed after I first moved here to where I'm at now. And that was a bumpy ride. I wound up throwing away my first deck because I got pulled right back into my old religion. And I mean, I felt terrible for throwing away those cards because they meant the world to me, but because somebody told me that I couldn't, I didn't. And I felt terrible, and I went into this whirlwind of like identity crisis because I'm like, well, if I'm following my heart and I can't do that, then who the heck am I? So I tried to fit in with my friends, my coworkers, my ideals of what my family wanted me to be, what I thought I should be at this age, and it caused me to spiral. And when I spiraled, I lost everything again. I had built myself up to where I felt comfortable and stable and that things were on the right track, and then I'd let some people come into my life and tell me that I was doing everything all wrong because it didn't look like the way they did it. And so I tried to follow them and ended up crashing and burning. Ended up in a hospital, ended up on medication that did nothing for me. I ended up the person I feared becoming. And nobody was there to pull me out. I had to pull myself out. And the people I thought I could depend on, I couldn't depend on. And the people that I thought loved me didn't love me back. The people that I thought understood me didn't understand me. And what that taught me is that you only have yourself, and like it's you against the world basically is what I learned during that period of upset in my life. And that was about 1.5 years ago. Now I'm in a position to where I'm on my feet in the sense that I've gotten to a comfortable place of knowing who I am, knowing what I want to do and where I want to go. It's just the strategy of how to get there is what's scary. Because I've always been quick on my feet. Like, if I put myself in a situation or if I find myself in a situation, I'm always reactive. And here in this current situation that I'm in right now, I'm learning how not to react to my situation, which is hard because it's something that I have to grow out of. But that also leaves me with plenty of options and also no options at the same time, because I chose to work for myself instead of work for others, because the last job that I had basically treated me like shit, but in the way that made it a part of my training to become a manager and being put in leadership, which I didn't agree with, because I'm like, I've been promised my entire life that if I would just see past people's bullshit, if I would just do what everybody told me to do, be a good model citizen and don't argue and just follow instructions and follow orders, that I would be rewarded for it. And I've only been bitter. I've only been lonely. I've only been misunderstood. I've always been picked on. I've always been pushed away. I've always been rejected. And I'm like, well, if I'm being rejected by doing what I feel is right, then, like, in the past, I think I mixed that up. Like, basically, like, if I'm being rejected by doing stuff that I don't want to do, and I've been rejected by doing things that I want to do, why suffer and be miserable? Why suffer and be miserable doing something I don't want to do when I can just do what I want to do and know that that comes with being different, and not in like this superficial way, like I'm the only one going through this, because I know there's other people doing this. And it's daunting, it's scary, you know? And being self-employed in a world like today is crazy, especially when you don't have a backup plan. Like, this is my only plan I have right now. Like, I'm looking at other options, but I literally put myself in a position where this has to work, because if it doesn't work, I'm screwed. So, I mean, I'm kind of already there, but not there. Like, I still have time to make this work, but it's still very daunting, because I put myself in a position to believe in myself, but I also put myself in a position like, you better figure out something and fast. And again, I came in with no plan. It was just, I'm sick of doing this and I'm done having people tell me what to do, and it only benefits them, and I'm the one stuck being miserable, and that's somehow my fault. So I've decided not to do that anymore, and that's why I'm doing YouTube, because I want to get my story out there. I want to get my business out there, and eventually I'm hoping that it is more structured than this video is and how my life has been in the past. But if anything, I've learned throughout my life that I just go for things that I go for, and I don't really care about the consequences. I probably should think a lot more than I act sometimes, but I just can't. Like, I shouldn't be crying every day. Like, that should not be my routine. Get up, cry, go to work, get off of work, and cry for the rest of the evening and dread going to work in the morning, because everybody has their own vendetta. Everybody doesn't like each other. And you're supposed to be the glue that holds the ship together, because you're a good person, you're a good leader. So if you can just hold the ship together while everybody else runs off in their shit, you'll be good. Or living in a family where it's cool for us to be our own individuals, but we're all raised the same, we're all supposed to act the same, we were never individually ourselves, and if we were individually ourselves, it was within the smallest confined box of what my parents thought my siblings and I should be. Me specifically, I think. And I don't like being in a world where everybody is supposed to look the same, come to the same results, and everybody's just supposed to be happy with that one way of life. Granted, we are breaking out of that type of mindset, which a lot of people don't like because a lot of people don't like change. I don't like change either, but I'd rather change something and said that I've tried and said that I did it instead of just sitting there being a victim of my circumstance. So, yeah, I wasn't expecting this to be 25 minutes long of bouncing around this, but basically, I started this video to give myself a chance. I started this channel to give myself a chance because I've tried to give myself a chance and then I let people rob that from me, and I'm not doing that anymore. So I'm starting and I'm happy with my imperfect start because that's the only way you're going to grow. If, like I said in the beginning, I waited for everything to be perfect before I started anything. And if you wait for everything to be perfect before you start, you're never going to start because nothing's ever going to be perfect. And that's not to be demeaning, but that's the truth because I believe the real reason why my life has turned to shit is because I waited for everything to be perfect, everything to be changed, for people to change, for my situation to change, for my past to change, and for my feelings to change, for everything about me to change before I started being myself. And I'm 24 now, and I haven't been myself up until 2 weeks ago when I left my job. I've never been more freer. I've never been more myself. And I know people don't like it because I'm not accepting and tolerating a lot of the shit I've put myself through. I'm not a doormat to anybody anymore. And I'm starting to find my own confidence. And people don't like that. And for a long time, I didn't like that because that meant that I may lose the people that I love, the people that I care about, the people that I want in my life. But if that means that they have to go and that they don't understand, then that's their loss, not mine. Because if my difference drives a wedge between us, then that's a problem. If I'm not happy and I change something to be happy and you're not happy, something's wrong. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video because it's time for me to make this video. I know it's not perfect, but I'd rather say that I did it and I learn along the way than not do it at all and wish 20, 40, 60 years from now that I would have. So I will be back with another video very soon. Explaining more about my tarot journey and how I practice tarot and just stuff. I'll come back with more stuff, more structured stuff to say the least. But yeah, thank you for watching and hope to see you guys soon.